like this video to wish everyone a happy Easter, especially me. Thank you. This episode is sponsored by Purple, because you're gonna need a good night's rest after all this cringe and horror. Stay tuned for a special offer. TikTok is an insanely popular app, allowing people to embarrass themselves or just have fun by recording and sharing short video clips and music videos. While you won't find me there, there's certainly a lot of cringe and laughs to be had from what is posted there. But there's also plenty of opportunities for the worst kind of people to take advantage of you and others. That's just the sinister nature of social media. So, here are some allegedly true TikTok horror stories. If you have a scary story of your own to share, tell us your story over at darkstories.org, and I may read it in a future video. Or head on over to the website to help us put together a video on creepy trail cam pictures with scary backstories. Now, TikTok. That's the sound of the clock counting down your ephemeral moments. My creepy TikTok encounter. From TZ. Location, West Virginia. Some friends on TikTok and I decided to get on Omegle together, talking about TikTok-related things and our interests. After about an hour of chatting, I met a girl with the name Skylar. We had a lot of interests in common. We then decided to move the conversation to TikTok DMs. We continued our conversation. Eventually, she asked where I lived and in what city. Turns out she was only about 2 hours away from my hometown in West Virginia. Now fast forward a few months later. We were dating by then. I had seen her face and we had exchanged plenty of pics. We planned to meet halfway and get a hotel room. I was 20 at the time and still lived with my parents as I could not afford to live on campus. But nevertheless, the day came and she said she couldn't drive halfway as her car wouldn't start, and she couldn't get a hold of anybody to come fix it. So, being naive and ready to mingle, I decided to drive the 2 hours and meet her. As I'm pulling up to the address, I see it's about a 300-yard long driveway, and a one-story run-down looking cabin at the top. I call and ask if this is her place, and she says yes. I'm about to be completely up her driveway when I see that there's more than one car there. In fact, there are 3. I didn't find this too strange, as most people here have more than one car. I get out and I knock on the door, and there she was. Skylar, the girl of my dreams. I hug her and walk in, and she says she'll be right back. She says her room is in the basement. I tried to hold myself back and wait, but I really wanted to talk to her, so I walked down to the basement. Just before I knocked on the door, I could hear whispering on the other side. There were men in there with her. They were talking about what to do with the guy upstairs. I immediately booked it up the steps. They must have heard me in my panic, because I heard the basement door open, and rapid footsteps were now following me. I get in my car and proceeded to reverse the heck out of there. I look in my rear view and see 5 huge guys chasing after me, one of which had a baseball bat. I floored it all the way to the police station and told them the address, stating in my stutter that I think that I was almost kidnapped. They sent a couple of officers out there, and when they came back, they said that the guys hadn't left and that they had been apprehended. Apparently, the girl was going to push me down the steps at some point, while the others quote-unquote bagged me. If I hadn't been curious and flustered with emotions, I would not be here today to tell this story. Now, time for a message from our sponsor. According to intense, horror-filled research, I've learned that most of you cheeky folks listen to my show in bed, and often while you're trying to sleep. That's why Purple is a great match. Sleep is important after all, and the quality of it affects your daily life and survival skills. Designed by 2 brothers who have been developing cushioning tech for 30 years, the The purple mattress will feel like nothing you've ever felt before. Both firm and soft at the same time, the purple mattress feels great for anyone and everyone, keeping you supported no matter how you sleep. Plus, it breathes perfectly, so no more struggling to stay cool. Tempted yet? Well, you can get a 100-night risk-free trial. If you're not satisfied, you can return the mattress for a full refund with free shipping and free returns. And if you love it, you'll have a generous 10-year warranty. You're going to love purple, and right now, you can get a free purple pillow with the purchase of a mattress. That's in addition to the great free gifts they're offering site-wide. Just text DPP to 84888. That's DPP 84888, the only way you can get this free pillow. That's DPP to 84888. Message and data rates may apply. Thanks, Purple. Now, back to the scary stories. There's something wrong with me. From NG. Location, Maryland. I think there might be something wrong with me. Maybe it's the onset or beginnings of schizophrenia. Maybe it's something else. But I can tell you that it all started when I was browsing TikTok. After getting home from school, I would plant myself on the couch, browsing TikTok on my phone and waiting for my mom to get home with my little brother. This was my usual day. Come home, keep myself entertained, then eat some dinner with my family late in the evening. I remember it being a Thursday. It was raining outside and I was especially cozy that afternoon, as I loved the rain, and I didn't have any homework for a change. It could have been a relaxing evening. I opened up TikTok and began swiping through the newest videos from the people I was following. I watched some guys do some parkour to Smooth Criminal. I watched a teenage girl interrupt class for a meme joke. And soon I was on a pretty cool video of a guy bungee jumping from a particularly high up bridge. That kind of stuff always made me anxious to watch, but in an exciting way, you know? I quickly rearranged myself on the couch to be more comfortable, and then I focused on the video. The blonde-haired man in his early 30s jumped as someone filmed him on the bridge. His body raced toward the ground at an alarming speed, and my body froze. My hand rushed to cover my mouth and I stifled a scream. The man hit the ground full force after the bungee cord snapped. The man was motionless, outlined in red upon the rocky surface. Tears swelled up in my eyes. I wiped away the tears and rubbed my eyes, looking back at the screen only to see that the man was bouncing just fine after the now successful jump. What just happened? I just saw the man fall to a very sudden death. That happened. I remembered it perfectly, every little gruesome detail. I immediately locked my phone and tossed it onto the coffee table. I was no longer in a decent mood, and I was thoroughly freaked out. Nothing similar to this would happen until 2 weeks later, and then it began to escalate, becoming more and more frequent. The next time it happened, I was lying in bed with Netflix playing some anime in the background on my TV. I was on TikTok again on my phone. I was browsing the recommended videos, trying to find some new people I could follow, because I'd been going through my new videos too quickly. I stumbled upon what I thought would be a cool video. There were some kids mixing up chemicals in a 2-liter Coke bottle. They looked happy about it, like they had done this before, and I knew it was going to be gold, especially as it had over 100,000 likes at the time. They mixed a clear liquid into the bottle, which already had a light blue and transparent fluid inside. It began to bubble up slowly. Another kid, a teenage girl, came over and happily placed some powdery substance into the bottle. The moment the powder landed on top of the liquid, there was a bright orange flash. Then the screen was nothing but gray. An explosion, smoke. Eventually it cleared, showing the same girl lifeless on the floor. At first, I thought that was the video, an elaborate prank on the viewers. But after blinking a couple of times, the video just reverted back to a Coke bottle spilling up ridiculous amounts of harmless foam, with the same girl now covering her mouth in a laugh. She was just fine. This began to happen to every video I viewed online. YouTube videos, Twitch streams. It even began to expand into podcasts that I would listen to, in which I would hear the commentators say things that did not make sense and were overtly violent out of nowhere. I grew paranoid and scared, and eventually told my mom of my odd and horrific problem. She and I both knew that my great-grandma had schizophrenia, so she immediately took me to a doctor for an evaluation. As of now, I'm awaiting results. I don't think this is paranormal. Then again, I've never heard of a mental illness quite like this. I hope I can get help for it, because now I'm too afraid to watch or listen to anything that I used to love. What am I going to do when these hallucinations pour out into reality? Why I no longer use TikTok, from Cam557. I'm about to share with you the creepiest thing that has ever happened to me. When TikTok was just in its early stages, I was a user there. You wouldn't yet see the occasional lip-syncing or dancing, and sometimes you would see some things far more terrifying than that. It was a cold December 12th, back in 2017. I was in my room playing NASCAR Heat 2, when all of a sudden, I got a call from my best friend, Jax. I opened the call on Skype and was surprised to hear what he had to say. Usually when he calls me like this, it's emergencies. He told me about TikTok for the first time then quickly asked me if I wanted to prank some people for his YouTube channel. This was out of the blue, but I agreed to it. I downloaded the app and soon got a notification saying that Jax's username has friended you. I accepted it and instantly messaged him on there. However, there was something wrong. He then messaged me to send him my address. This wasn't normal considering he already knew it. We were close friends after all and often went to see each other. Despite how weird this was, I went ahead and reminded him. That's when I got a notification saying that a different username with the name Jax in it had friended me. I got a little annoyed thinking he made another account already. He then called me on Skype, and I answered. His voice suddenly had a more urgent tone to it. He said that someone had hacked his account, and I remember thinking, we haven't even had accounts for a day yet. How did that happen? I asked him how he knew he had been hacked, and he stated that the person who did this was probably the same person who was trying to hack his YouTube channel, something I had no idea about. I then asked him if he had made another account, and read the usernames to him, and he replied that no, which meant the account I gave the address to was not my friend. My stomach twisted into a knot. I hung up and grabbed my phone and locked my bedroom door. I reported the user on TikTok and began to wonder how much trouble I might be in, if any at all. Surely if this was just some hacker, he was only going to prank me. But about an hour later, when I was just beginning to calm down, it happened. There was a sudden banging on the door. It startled me at first, then I picked myself up to go answer it. The moment I had cracked open my door, there was a massive splintering, cracking sound, and then a slam. My heart stopped, and I stood frozen in my doorway. Because what that sounded like was the front door being bashed in. I shut the door and locked it, then hid behind my big beanbag, quickly dialing the cops. I was panicking, having trouble breathing right. Even the operator was trying to get me to calm down, reminding me that the police would be there shortly, but it didn't help. After a few moments, I could hear footsteps outside my bedroom door, and then someone tried to turn the knob. I stopped breathing altogether then, terrified that whoever it was would hear me if I even tried to breathe. That's when the worst happened. The laptop began to buzz with the sound of an incoming Skype call. It was my friend. I could see the screen from my hiding position. He must have been worried about me, but he didn't realize what was going on and had no idea that he just gave me away. That's when I heard fists beating against the wood of the door. This guy must have been huge because I could hear the door being chipped away at, cracking and splintering under his weight and strength. But when I heard the squeak of brakes outside, I prayed that I was saved. The man must have heard it too, and stopped. A few moments later, I heard the sound of rapid footsteps leaving the house, through the back door, I think. Then there was the sound of 2 different pairs of footsteps coming in through the front. They scoured the house, then made it to my room, which was locked. I was too scared to get out of my position to open the door. They even called out that they were the police, but I think I was in shock. Eventually, they busted down the door, and they found me under my beanbag. They took me to the police car while one of them watched me, and the other searched the rest of the house. Whoever broke in was gone, and none of us had any leads on who he was or why he did this. I've talked to my friend about it, but he won't give me any answers or clues. But the police had a theory. Based on his online patterns, they believed him to be a part of a trafficking organization. Hearing this, I was horrified. If the cops did not arrive in time, I would have never been found. Tik Tok Horror from Damian. Location unknown. Let me start by saying I'm not a frequent TikTok user. I only really use it to watch a couple of friends who post there. But sometimes I'll catch myself browsing mindlessly to some of the cool, cringy, or in this case, downright terrifying TikToks. It was a few weeks ago. I had just gotten home from work and had nothing better to do than browse around the internet on my phone. But after a while of that, I grew bored of it. I was scrolling through my old apps to see if there was anything I could do, something to pass the time. I tapped the TikTok app to open it. I had not been on in a while, so I could browse around for a bit. I thought maybe I could find something funny to send to my friends and chat about. But I did not expect to find what I found. There were some cosplayers and people lip-syncing as usual. I spent another 20 minutes browsing and looking through videos before I decided to call it quits and do something more productive with my time. I pressed the home button on my phone, but the app didn't close. I tried again and again several more times to no success, and my screen even started to bug out a bit. Clicks and taps being made where I didn't touch the screen at, and the screen would click on and off from time to time. By now I was getting more and more irritated, considering my phone was brand new and I never had this issue before. Nor did I want to have to go through the trouble of going to get it fixed or replaced. I decided to shut the phone down and restart it. But when it powered back up, the TikTok app was still open. I was frustrated. I groaned in annoyance, and once I did, the app froze and my phone started to heat up. I was confused and exasperated. But then the app did something strange. It began to swipe through videos on TikTok by itself. It wasn't until I stopped it to see what was being swiped through that I gasped in horror. My heart felt like it sank into my stomach. The videos I was looking at weren't your usual TikToks. These were awful videos. No guy in a snapback singing in the camera. This was more terrifying. There was no music, but what displayed on my screen was someone, I presume a man, due to his hairy knuckles, digging through some fresh soil to reveal something underneath. I could see a nose first, then eyes, then teeth. He seemed to be digging up a person. Whatever was bugging my phone caused it to swipe to the next slide. It was like a series in order of the same person, but on the Explore page, none of it made sense. There were no views, no comments, no profile to click on. Then came the next video. I could only see the man's hand. He seemed to be pulling dirt off of this woman who was buried, revealing her ghostly white face, obviously in the early stages of decomposition. Slide after slide, he removed more dirt, exposing her now to the camera. The only sounds on these videos was of him grunting frantically and him breathing heavily, almost as if he was in a hurry or panicking. The next slide, he was in a different area. He seemed to be inside of a house, and the camera seemed to be propped up on something. I could see him more fully now. He had suspenders on and dirty jeans and a woman's top on. He was wearing an odd sack on his head with 2 eye holes and a belt around his neck. He was pulling something up the stairs from the basement, which I could only assume was the woman he had dug up in the previous slides. The next slide was a different camera angle. It fully displayed the filthy living room, which I could only assume belonged to him. I saw rats scurry across the floor. There were flies all over. I could only imagine the ungodly smell. I was trying to convince myself that this was fake. Maybe it was some sort of artistic film set, or something else. Maybe the woman he was dragging into the living room wasn't really dead, but she was so pale and discolored. I couldn't help but nearly retch at the thought of it. The following slide, another angle displayed a big wooden cross leaning against the wall where a TV should have been. He lifted the lifeless body and held her to it. I had enough, though. I couldn't sit and watch this further. I didn't know why it was being displayed to me, but I didn't want to keep watching to find out what he was about to do. While I had no idea why I could not close the app, why the slides were switching themselves, I let go of my phone and put it face down. I hurried downstairs to where my dad was. He's a cop, and I felt like he would know better than I. I got him to look at my phone, and he gave me a puzzled look. When he picked it up, the app was closed. In fact, TikTok was not even on my phone anymore, as if whoever had control of my phone had uninstalled it. My mind was so muddled and frantic. I tried to explain to him what I saw, but my dad thought I was going nuts, said I was working too much, said that I needed to take a nap and stop overthinking. I felt helpless, but all I could really do was go back upstairs to my room with my now normal phone. My phone didn't glitch out again after that, and nothing seemed unusual. I did check my photo gallery though, and I found something that I wish I wouldn't have. There was a video that I did not recall saving to the device. I hesitantly clicked on it because the thumbnail was all black. But I had a need inside, a need to know what it was. You know how curiosity can be. I wish I never saw it. It was the man from the TikTok videos. He wasn't wearing anything now except for the sack on his head and the belt around his neck. He was bowing in front of that big wooden cross, which was now on fire, with the woman's silhouette nailed to it. He was chanting over and over something along the lines of, "Devour her, consume her." I felt sick, and I know I should have gone down and immediately shown my father. But I knew it would just get deleted again. Freaking out, almost dropping the phone, I deleted the video completely. I regret it now. I should have gone to the police or did something more, but I was too scared. I've seen enough scary movies to know that entangling yourself in something like this can put you at risk too. And I just didn't want to be any part of it. I hope you understand that I just wanted it to be over. Nothing else has happened since. I don't know what virus or hack I got, but I pray that it never happens to you or me. Not again. TikTok is a fun app. It gives you the opportunity to meet new people, see new talent, and have a good laugh or cringe, which we all need every once in a while. But as with all things, you need to be responsible and aware that people can be dangerous. They can be manipulative, and if you let your guard down, if you're too naive, even a funny social media app can be your downfall. Good night. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to support us, please support our sponsor, Purple, by texting DPP to 84888 and get started with the best sleep you've ever had. You can also donate at patreon.com/darknessprevails or shop our merchandise at teespring.com/stores/darknessprevails. Also, if you've got a story you want to share or you want to help put together new videos, go to darkstories.org. As usual, here are my 5 favorite early comments from the previous video about 7 scary night shift stories. Super Blackbird 78 says, pineapples. I don't know what to do with this information, but did you watch that video about them peeling the pineapples by hand? It's pretty world-shattering. Cat and Dog 111 says, oh great, I have the night shift tomorrow. Time to listen to this and get paranoid. Welcome to my daily life. Gato Dogcat says, perfect for a night alone. But Gato, what do you do when every night you're alone? Sad. Sheik Saifuddin says, always in time for bed. Loving that consistency, Darkness. Keep it up, my man. P.S. Graveyard shift stories are the creepiest. Well, you mean after Skinwalker stories, of course, right? Right? And Darren Lewis says, your stories always keep me up. I love it. Yeah, I mean, who needs sleep anyway? Sleep is for the cool people who have day jobs. Well, that brings us to the end of this Darkness Prevails episode. But don't you worry, because more scary stories are on the way soon. So stay tuned. Until next time, here are the credits to my amazing patrons who continue to donate. They're great people. Remember, stay safe out there and stay creepy. Because this world is a strange one.